What is up, Flavor family? It's Bobby, and now that we're doing 2 videos a week, we're gonna continue the installments of Bobby's Kitchen Basics with the ultimate Italian style meatball. I'm so excited to share this recipe with you because the flavor is next level, and there's a few tips and techniques that will literally take your meatball game to the stratosphere. So let's do it, baby. Let's rock a delicious, juicy Italian style meatball. 3 ground meats seasoned with onion powder, garlic powder, herbs, spices, lots of cheese, pan-seared and finished in a homemade tomato sauce. So here's the deal. If you're looking for healthy, delicious, straight up awesome recipes, you found the best channel on YouTube. Click that old subscribe button because we are rocking out 2, sometimes 3 videos every week, and we would love for you to join the Flav City community. All right, let's start with the most important tip of the day. To make the ultimate meatball, you have to have 3 kinds of ground beefs in front of you. I have ground beef, I have ground veal, and I have ground pork. I call it the Holy Trinity because the ground beef gives it a beefy flavor. The ground veal makes it kind of luscious and rich, and the ground pork adds that much needed fat. Now, I just kind of found out that it's getting very hard to find ground veal because demand is very low for it. So if for some reason you can't find it or you don't want to buy it, use 50-50 ground beef and ground pork. But let's season this up now and make it super flavorful by adding a nice healthy pinch of salt, about 1.5 teaspoons. Then we'll go in with 1.5 teaspoons of dried oregano, 1.5 teaspoons each of garlic powder and onion powder, just over 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and a heaping tablespoon of freshly chopped parsley. And by the way, if I forgot to mention, I have 1/2 pound each of the ground meats in here. Now for the binder, I'm gonna crack in 1 egg. Now for the cheese portion, and yes, we're gonna use cheese because it's a binder and it's just delicious, I'm using Pecorino Romano cheese. You can use Parm, but Pecorino is its cousin. It's a sheep's milk cheese from Rome. I actually like the flavor better than Parmesan, and it's cheaper. So for me, it's a win-win. Add about 1/4 cup total. Now, this is probably the most important part of the ultimate meatball is the breadcrumbs. In front of me, I have some bread soaking in some milk. About 15 minutes ago, I took a stale loaf or a day-old loaf of bread. I cut off the crust, just like Mama used to do. Then I cut it into big chunks and then dunked it into a bowl of milk. The reason why we're doing this is because it's gonna add moisture to our meatball mixture and it's gonna make the meatballs light and airy. If you've ever had a meatball that's kind of dense and like a golf ball, it's because it doesn't have breadcrumbs. And no, we ain't talking about the kind that comes from the pantry in that can that looks like sawdust. I can get that from Home Depot. We're talking about milk-soaked real bread. Look at this, right? It's juicy and it's soaked up all that good milk and it's soft now. So I'm gonna squeeze out some of the milk, but not all of it, because we want moisture. And then I'm gonna crumble it directly into the bowl, about 1 cup total. Now, of course, if you're on the keto diet, you don't have to do this. You can skip the step. It's still gonna be a great meatball. Now I'm gonna debling and go to another really important part here is forming the meatballs, which is really very appropriate now because Desi's talking to her mom in Bulgaria right now, and she's the one who taught me this tip. So I'm gonna mix up the mixture really well here, and then I'm gonna dip my hands in water to form the meatballs. And what that does is, or as Desi's mom would say, Desi, pita babi, treba da slagam tvoja raka v vodička. I need to put my hands in water before I form the meatballs, because I did this in a video like 3 years ago, and she noticed that all the mixture stuck to my hand. But if you stick it in water first, the mixture doesn't stick to your hands. It helps form the silkiest, smoothest meatball ever. So moral of the story, guys, is always trust and listen to your mother-in-law, okay? So go ahead and mix up the mixture very well, and then form them into meatballs, really any size you want. Another fun fact about this meatball mixture is that the more you mix it, and the more you overwork it, the tougher your meatballs are gonna get. It's the same principle as with meatloaf. So only mix it as much as you need to combine the ingredients and then stop if you want tender meatballs. And that is basically the point of this video. All right, last meatball is down. All right, hands are washed. Now, you could take these balls and go straight to the pan now, but I find that if you chill them in the fridge for 15 or 20 minutes, it gives the mixture a chance to kind of set up. Otherwise, you might get squishy balls and nobody wants that. So let's stuff this in the fridge for 15 minutes or so. All right, while the meatballs are chilling, this video today, you guys, is sponsored by the North American Olive Oil Association. And man, I am glad it is, because we go through copious amounts of olive oil in this kitchen. It imparts such an amazing flavor, and I'm gonna use two kinds of olive oils today. I'm gonna use regular olive oil for the cooking process and extra virgin olive oil for the finishing process. All olive oils are the same in terms of calories and fat, but extra virgin is everything for me. You can see that beautiful color in there. That comes from the type of olive, the time of the year it was picked, or where it was picked from. But extra virgin has the most intense flavor of all the olive oils because it's cold pressed. It's virgin, it's raw, it's perfect for finishing on a dish. It is phenomenal. For some reason, the last couple of years, there's so many myths about olive oil saying that it burns easily, it has a low smoke point. Extra virgin olive oil actually has a smoke point higher than butter or coconut, and olive oil has a smoke point on the same level as canola or veggie oil. So you can grill with it in the summer, you can roast, you can deep fry with it, you can broil. Heck, when I was in Italy, in Rome, they deep fried artichokes in olive oil, and I still remember the crunch and the flavor. So over on the North American Olive Oil Association website, they have the coolest chart showing myths and facts. And man, there are a lot of myths out there that need to be busted. So check that out. All right, my friends, meatballs are chilled. Pan is preheating over medium-high heat. I'm gonna reach for the olive oil in this case, which is perfect for sauteing. Go ahead and drizzle in about 2 teaspoons. Once the oil goes in the pan, give it a good 30 seconds to heat up because you want the oil and the pan to be hot when those meatballs go in. All right, let's add half of the meatballs to the pan. All right, last meatball is down. Now immediately go down with my favorite kitchen tool, the splatter guard, because it'll save your cleanup much later on. Do you have to sear the meatballs? Well, no. If you want to be a lazy butt, you can just roast them in the oven or put them in the sauce, my homemade sauce that I'm preheating behind me right now. But if you take the little effort to sear these meatballs, you're going to create another layer of flavor and texture, because those golden brown edges all around the meatball are nothing but flavor. All right, after 3 minutes, let's flip the meatballs. Oh, come on, guys. Are those the crustiest meatballs you've ever seen? Click that thumbs up button if you're on Team Crusty Meatballs, because that is exactly what I was talking about. Let's finish flipping these guys and let them go another 3 minutes. And by the way, olive oil should be stored in a cool, dark place in the pantry away from any heat. That way you'll get the longest shelf life out of it. All right, let's get the meatballs out of the pan. Those look absolutely beautiful. And let's put another glug of olive oil into the pan and then add the second batch of meatballs. Man, who knew an offset spatula would come in so handy when making meatballs? If you try to stuff all the meatballs in the pan at one time, the temperature of the pan lowers and you don't get that kind of crust. So you have to work in batches. As soon as these are done, we're gonna finish them in the sauce. But if you want more meatballs, we have a lot of meatball recipes here. We have one for a lamb meatball and breakfast sweet potato hash. We have one for turkey meatballs with raisins and pepitas. We have a low-fat beef meatball with zucchini noodle marinara. I think we have another one too, but I'll put all the links down below if you're trying to go crazy with meatballs. All right, last of the meatballs is out. Now, keep in mind, they're raw on the inside, but they have that amazing crust. To finish cooking these epic meatballs, back here I have my homemade simple marinara sauce. I will talk about that recipe in a second, but we're gonna put these meatballs in the sauce for about 10 minutes to gently finish cooking and soak up all that beautiful San Marzano tomato marinara goodness. All right, once the meatballs are in, bring it to just a simmer. Don't boil these guys. The idea is to gently simmer them in the sauce for about 10 to 15 minutes. If you're not sure when it's done, just cut it in half. Now, regarding my homemade sauce, of course, I'm gonna hook you guys up and put the recipe down below, but it starts with aromatics like onions and celery and garlic and carrots, and it uses Italian San Marzano tomatoes. San Marzanos are the best in the world because they're grown in the shadows of Mount Vesuvius in Naples, and it has all that volcanic ash-enriched soil. Forget about anything else. They're a little more expensive at the store. Trader Joe's has them for a pretty good price. Use them for this sauce and you will thank me later. Make a triple batch, keep it in the freezer. All right, it's been 20 minutes. Nothing splatters like tomato sauce. Can you see those little pools of volcanic goodness? So use the splatter guard, kill the heat, and let's get some of these meatballs out of here. Oh, look at that. So delicious. And just to make sure it's done, let's set it down here on a cutting board and just cut it in half. Perfectly cooked through. And you can see the texture is light. It's not dense and clumpy, and just coated in that sauce. All right, let's grab some meatballs. Oh man, these are so hot, but they're so darn good. Put a good pile of those down on a plate, and then reach for some extra virgin olive oil. Drizzle a nice glug of that over the top. Then go down with a nice snow shower of Pecorino Romano cheese and a sprinkle of fresh parsley. And there it is, you guys. If these taste anywhere as good as they smell, they're gonna be the most epic, best ever Italian style meatballs because, oh my gosh, the smell is like a Nona's house, okay? I didn't grow up in an Italian Nona's house, but I imagine it sounded something like this. And that little dusting of extra virgin at the end is gonna add a fresh brightness that just transformed the dish. All right, let's try this, Brandon. This is gonna be one of those where you might burn your mouth, but like, you gotta do it. You gotta.
Guys, you have to make this.
Have to. Oh my gosh. Guys, the combo of the three meats makes for the perfect texture. The breadcrumbs are soft and silky. The cheese is cheesy.
And the tomato sauce,
yeah,
on the nose.
Right, on the point. And that drizzle of extra virgin on top. These are the perfect Italian style meatballs. The recipe is down below in the description box, along with the 4 or 5 other meatball recipes I was talking about before. Hook us up. Try this recipe, share it. Once again, big love to the North American Olive Oil Association for sponsoring this video. Check out their website, buy more olive oil, cook with it. If you want to see 2 more recipes, they are streaming below me right now, but I'll see you very soon. Until then, hashtag keep on cooking, mad love.